Hello everyone and welcome back to my sunroom. It's a cold, sunny winter day here in East Tennessee and it's a perfect day to share a video. As you see, my beautiful phal legato is in bloom. She's always the very first of my phals to bloom out every year. That's one of the main reasons I grow Phalenopsis orchids is they bloom in the winter. And once they start blooming, you would think that I had just started growing them. I always get so excited when that first bud opens, and it just never gets commonplace to me. I've grown phals for about 20 years now, and they just continue to captivate me. A commonly asked question on my channel is how to care for Phalenopsis orchids during the winter while they're spiking and blooming. So today we're going to discuss winter care for phals, specifically the regular size phals. I'm going to do a separate video for the miniatures because they require slightly different care. Let's start with light requirements for Phalenopsis orchids. I get so many questions on how much light a phal should get. Mine are in eastern-facing windows, meaning they receive morning sunlight, or western-facing windows that receive sunlight from about 2 p.m. until sundown. Western-facing windows are fine for winter, but these windows will need some shading to disperse the light in the spring and in the summer. In the winter, daylight hours are much shorter here in East Tennessee, and the light is slanted away from my grow area. I place them so that they can receive as much sunlight as possible throughout the day in the winter. Low light conditions can weaken your plant if they're exposed to low light for a prolonged period of time. That's one of the main reasons why I chose reflective surfaces for my sunroom, is because they help me bring in and disperse more light. Also, light-colored walls in your room will help reflect light. Those are just some small things that you can do to bring in more light into your grow space. I don't use supplemental lighting. I just use windows and reflective surfaces to my advantage. So many beginner orchid growers get confused about light requirements, and I can completely understand why. I've seen growing tags that come with phals when you buy them that say that the plant requires low light, and that can be so misleading. So you take them home and you place them in a room that doesn't get much sunlight, but your phal won't like that for long. I did that as a beginner orchid grower, and my orchid rotted. But you don't want to place them where they receive hot afternoon sunlight in the spring and the summer either, because you'll burn up your plant. Mine receive lots of morning light and disperse light throughout the day, and they do really well. So now that we've established the right kind of light, let's talk about light and what to do when they start spiking. I live in East Tennessee and we have 4 distinct seasons here. So when we get cooler weather in the fall, especially at night, it triggers my phals to spike. They literally spike all at one time. So once the cooler temperatures start settling in our area, I know I want to place my orchids where I want them to bloom. And I don't move them after that until they halfway bloom out in January or in February. They have their regular homes. This is so they don't get disturbed while they're spiking. I find it really helpful in the early fall to place them where they get plenty of light throughout the winter and where it will be out of the way of any holiday decorations that I might want to put out. For example, I don't put my Christmas tree in front of a window where I normally grow my orchids. My orchids get top priority. Once my phals start spiking, usually around the middle of October, I face the spike toward the window or the light source, and I keep that spike face toward the front of the window. If you move your plant to water it, place it back so that the spike is in the same place facing the window. If you stand behind your plant when you place it back on the table, it's easy to adjust the spike toward the light. If you place it back the wrong way or in just any direction, then once your orchid blooms, the flowers will also bloom in all different directions. When you keep the spike faced in the direction of the light source towards your window, all the buds will grow in the same direction and you'll get that perfect, graceful cascade of blooms that Phalenopsis orchids are so famous for. Sometimes you'll need to pull the orchid away from the window as the spike gets taller, keeping it in the same place, just with the spike facing toward the light, further away from the window. Don't allow the end of the spike to grow up against a cold window, or it will damage the spike and it won't bloom. And also check your leaves that they're not growing too close to a cold window. It will damage the leaf and it will turn black, and that kind of tissue dieback doesn't recover and you'll lose a leaf or part of it. I found that after about half of the blooms are bloomed out on your phal, the rest of the buds aren't so tender, and you can move it to a different room in your house if you want to, as long as there's not a big difference in the temperature where you're moving it to. But don't move it out of your house or into the cold weather. The unopened buds will probably blast, meaning they'll turn brown, shrivel up, and just drop off the plant. And there goes all your hard work for an entire year. Another thing to take into consideration with location is to place your orchids where they won't be around any drafts. Keep your orchids away from cold and drafty areas. It will cause bud blast and the flowers will fall off prematurely. Orchids don't like sudden changes in temperatures. Where they grow in the rainforest, the temperature changes aren't dramatic. The temps change very slowly. So placing your orchid near a door that you use a lot in the winter is not a good option. I keep the door here in my sunroom closed and locked throughout the entire winter, and my whole family knows, don't open this door. Also, keep your temperatures in your grow area as steady as possible while they're spiking and blooming. The temperatures here in my sunroom during the winter are about 70 to 72 degrees during the day, and they're about 68 degrees at night. I'm very guarded about the temperature back here. I keep it at this temp for both my comfort and for them. I've grown Phalenopsis orchids for many years now, and I've found that wintertime is a very challenging time to grow them. This is when they need that extra care, and especially if your wintertime is cold like it is here, there's a lot to keep in mind. So I'll do some more winter care for Phalenopsis orchid videos to cover the topic. So stay tuned. We're going to go over watering and fertilizing, medium, and also some updates as they bloom. Also, if you want more information on how I have my sunroom set up for the winter, I'll put a link below for my video that you'll find useful. So thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate all of your kind comments and I enjoy reading them. I appreciate your friendship and I also appreciate your questions. It helps me to know which direction to take my videos. And I'd love to say the blessing over you and your family. The Lord bless you and keep you, make His face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you His peace. You all make it a great day, and we'll see you next time.